In this video, I'll show you how to create an AI receptionist for clinics that remembers all the patients from the database.
Hello, Felipe. This is Lori from Sun Clinic. How can I help you today? With your MetLife coverage, 70% of the cost is covered, so you'd only need to pay $18 at the clinic. Your appointment has been successfully scheduled, Felipe.
So whenever a user calls to the clinic, the agent will look for his number in the database, and if the patient exists, it will gather all those variables and bring them. With all that information, the agent will be able to personalize the call, so it won't have to ask to the user for his name, email, or medical coverage. If you're new to the channel, my name is Felipe Leguizamón. And if you're a business owner looking forward to implement a solution like this into your business, down here in the description, I'll be leaving you the link of my calendar. So if you want, you can schedule a call with me and I'll go deep into your needs. Without any further explanation, let's jump right into the demo.
Hello, Felipe. This is Lori from Sun Clinic. How can I help you today?
Hello, Lori. How are you doing? I was looking forward to make an appointment.
I'm doing well, Felipe. Thank you for asking. I'm glad you reached out. What type of appointment would you like to schedule? For example, a dental cleaning, whitening, or perhaps a checkup?
Actually, I was thinking in a dental cleaning. Could you help me with that?
Of course, Felipe. A professional dental cleaning is a great choice to maintain your oral health. With your MetLife coverage, 70% of the cost is covered, so you'd only need to pay $18 at the clinic. When would you like to schedule your appointment?
I was thinking about Wednesday at 10. That works for you or not?
Let me check if we have availability for Wednesday at 10. Good news, Felipe. We have availability on Wednesday, April 9th from 10 to 10:45 in the morning. Should I reserve this time for you?
Yeah, please.
Your appointment has been successfully scheduled, Felipe. It's set for Wednesday, April 9th from 10 to 10:45 in the morning. If you have any other questions or need further assistance, feel free to let me know.
No, nothing else. Thank you, Lori. See you in the clinic. Bye.
You're very welcome, Felipe. See you at the clinic on Wednesday. Have a great day and take care.
After watching the demo, now I'll pass right to the configuration of the agent. Don't worry if I go too fast, because down here in the description, I'll be leaving you all the resources from the video. So I'll go a bit fast. First, I like to structure the prompt of the agent in the following manner. In the first place, I got the role, then important apart, then tasks that the agent has, response style, service hours to when the clinic is open, a bit of the conversational flow to give more context to the agent, then all the available services that we provide in the clinic. After that, I got the service type classification, because into the clinic we can classify each service depending on the client's need. After that, we got services with budget. This means that the agent cannot provide an amount to the user. Then after the services with budget, we have unavailable services. So if a user asks for certain service and the clinic doesn't provide that service, the agent can respond to that. Also, as you could see during the call, we give him the health insurance and all the details. Then we give the agent the payment methods that we accept in the clinic. And finally, we have specific instructions, payment processing, and additional notes. Then jumping right into the prompt tree, we have three states, three nodes, in which this is the main one. And in here, we are determining if the user is a patient or it's not a patient. If you're new into the channel, I like to prompt the state nodes in the following manner. First, I got the role, then the task, and finally, we got examples and specifications. So in here, in the role, I tell the agent its role, of course, and then something very important, it's the next. I like to give the agent certain emotion to the task it will be doing. So for doing that, I tell the agent that if he performs his job in the right manner, it will be rewarded with certain amount of money. Because while doing so, we are increasing the agent performance, and that's what we all are looking for. Then we got the task, in which we have the initial greeting as first step. We tell the agent what it has to tell to the user. Then the service type classification. Then we pass right to the task completion, in which we are telling the agent that it needs to classify the user depending in if it is a patient or not, and what parameters are we giving to the AI to determine if the user is a patient or not. In case the user is a patient, the AI will receive at the beginning of the call all the variables from the database of the user. So in here we tell that the agent, if the variables arrive empty to the agent, means that the user is not a patient, it's a new one. So it will choose this path and will have to ask all the details to the user. Then we tell the agent that the payment method will be managed in the following states. We give some examples of maintenance services and then specifications. That the specifications are firstly because we want to clarify to the agent how to develop certain tasks and improve his communication to the user. As you could see during the call, the agent determined that I was a patient. So it chose this path, in which firstly we got a role, then tasks. After tasks, we go to general rules for scheduling, and finally notes. So in first place, we're giving the agent its role, and then we give this important structure. We're mentioning the dynamic variables that belong to the user, in which here we got his first name, then his last name, the medical coverage, and the email. After doing that, we pass right into the tasks, in which in the first step, we are identifying the type of service that the user wants. After identifying the type of service that the user wants in the clinic, we jump right into the second step, in which before calling the check availability function, we ask the user when he wants to schedule his booking. After he tells us when he wants to schedule or book, we call the check availability function or tool and tell the user if the date and time that he has chosen is available or not. As you can see here, we are giving the agent some key points in which we tell prioritize the earliest available option and then some configurations more. As the third step, we got the medical coverage, in which we tell the user that as he has certain medical coverage, the service that he chooses has certain amount of discount. And then we tell the final amount that he would have to pay in the clinic. After that step, we confirm the appointment with the user to ensure that we are doing things right. And in the fifth step, we are registering the appointment in the system by calling the function book appointment, in which we are passing to the automation in N8N the first name, last name, email, date and time, start and end time of the appointment, which is very important if you don't want to have mistakes while doing the HTTP request to call.com. Then we also pass the type of service requested, the total to pay, and health insurance. And finally, we got the end of the conversation, in which we are telling the user that his reservation was made successfully. We also ask the user if he has any further questions, and here we put conditions to the agent. If the user has more questions, answer them. If everything is clear, say goodbye and call the function and call to end the interaction with the user. Here we can see some general rules for scheduling, in which we are telling this to the agent. Again, don't worry because I'll be leaving all those resources down here in the description. And then in the final part, we got notes, in which we are improving the pronunciation of the agent. In this state, the first tool that we find is the following, is the tool check availability, as I was commenting before. In here, we just need to give the agent or Retell AI the following. First, the API key from call.com, then the event type ID, which you'll be able to find it when you enter to call.com to the calendar. You'll find the ID here. You need to touch the link, and then those numbers in here will be the type ID of the calendar. We also give the agent the time zone, and then we have the constant function of book appointment, in which we are calling an HTTP request to call.com. Here is the URL from the webhook, and then here is the JSON, which I'll be leaving in the description. In the JSON that we are passing to the AI, we are requesting the following. First, the service type, then the date, the appointment start time, the appointment end time, which these two variables are very important to successfully make a request to call.com. Then the service request details, the first name, last name, email, coverage, and total amount due. I'll go a bit fast with the JSON because I'll be leaving it in the description, but this is what we got in here. So if you want to copy it, Here you got it. This is all the JSON. And finally, in this node, we have the end call function. You could see during the call, the agent use it at the end of the conversation with me. And finally, we got the state in which the user is not a patient. The only difference this node has with this other one is some task, specifically this task, the collect user information, because everything else is the same. The only step that we are adding into this node is the step of collecting user information, in which we will have to ask the user for his first name, last name, email, and insurance. All the other stuff will be just the same as the node that we saw before. Confirm user data, then confirm the appointment with the user, call the function book appointment, and finally ending with the conversation. We pass to the agent the same general scheduling rules and the same additional nodes. And again, the configuration of the node, it's exactly the same. So we got the same tools, the same API key, the same event type ID, same time zone, and same custom function. Now, before going with the automation that gives memory to the agent, first I want to explain the database. So in the database, I got the following 2 sheets. In the first one, I got the CRM, and the second one, the appointments. In the table of the CRM, we will be saving all the variables from the patients. As you could see here, you got all the patients, name, last name, coverage, phone, and mail. And then we got the appointments table, in which every time an appointment is booked, a row will be created, as you can see. And we will be saving the name, last name, service type, if it's diagnosis or maintenance, then service details, coverage, mail, calls, date and time, and then the total amount due. Now coming back to the first automation, the one that will give memory to the agent, we got the following. Just as the agent in Retell AI is receiving a call, Retell AI will send the information of the user that is calling, like the phone number and some other information, right into the webhook. So what we are doing here is passing that information to a search node in Airtable. And in this node, simply we're looking for the phone number of the user that is calling to the agent in the database, in the CRM table. So we are looking this column. If the phone number exists, it means the user is a patient. So then we'll add an if node, in which we are telling the automation next. If the phone number exists in Airtable, we'll be choosing this path. In case the phone number does not exist in Airtable, we'll send the variables empty. And it's very important that you send the variables empty. You cannot send in the response webhook to the agent a message like the user is not a patient. You need to send the same variables empty, because if not, the call won't be answered, and we don't want that. But if the phone number exists, we'll be getting all those records from the ID that Airtable will be giving us. So what we are doing here is getting all the information from the bundle depending on the ID that Airtable gave us. Because this is what happens. When Airtable finds my number, this is my number, so Airtable finds my number in here, and this row has an ID inside Airtable. So what we're doing in here, we are also receiving that ID number inside Airtable. So with that ID number, we get all the records from that bundle. Then we simply rename those variables and send them right to the agent in this manner. It's very important that you follow this manner. I will be leaving it down here in the description, so you just copy and paste, and you will have just to change the variables from Airtable. And finally, we got the last automation, which is for making a booking in call.com. As a trigger, we got a webhook that will be receiving all the information that we tell the agent to send us, and we pass that information into an HTTP request to the endpoint of call.com. For making the request to call.com, you need to structure it in this way. First, you need to use this endpoint. Then you need to send headers, so you must enable this option and add 2 items. In the first item, you'll add name, then content type, and as value, application JSON. And in the second item, you'll add as name, authorization, and then in value, bearer, and your API key from call.com. Finally, you need to also send a body in a JSON form. So in a specified body, you put using JSON, and then you need to send this JSON to the endpoint of call.com, in which you need to boost the event type ID. It must be an integer, so you don't need to add This is very important that you send the number as an integer. Then we have the start time and end time. That is very important that we send these variables in ISO 8601 manner, because if not, the request won't be successful. And then we also send the time zone, the language, metadata, responses, name and email. That in responses, name and email, you can add whatever you want. It doesn't matter. After the request, we add an if node. If the booking is successful, we'll choose this path. But if it's not successful, we will tell the agent that there was an error in the reservation and human agent will contact you shortly. That's what the agent will tell the user. But as the booking was successful, we tell the agent that the reservation was successful. So it can tell the user that the reservation was made successfully. You may be asking why I put the response node in here. And I put it in here because if I put the node in the last part, we will be adding latency to the call, and we don't want that. We want fast responses. So next, I got a create record in Airtable, in which we are adding the booking to this table, to the appointment table. And we simply writing the name, last name, service type, service details, coverage, mail, calls date and time, total amount due, everything, literally everything. And finally, we add a search node, in which we will be looking for the email of the user in the table of CRM. Why we are looking for his email? Because if the email exists in the database, it means that the user is a patient. But if the email does not exist, the user is not a patient, and we won't receive an ID from Airtable. So in the following node, we got here, if the JSON ID from Airtable is empty, means that the user is not a patient. So we create a record with this node and we add all his information in the database. I hope the video was helpful for you, and if that's the case, please leave me a like and a comment. That would mean a lot for me. See you in the next one. Take care.